Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribhad Jagacharya Sotacharya Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to simple devotees. All glories to simple devotees. All glories to simple devotees. All glories to Shri Guru, all glories to Garanga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasaya Buddhale Shrimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Nityanamine. Hey, can you turn this mic down a little bit? Turn it down. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 13, titled The Appearance of Lord Varaha. We are reading text 37, 38, and 39. Okay, so we'll start the word for 37, and I'll just chant the rest. Dīkṣā,
dīkṣā,
anujanma,
anujanma,
upasadaḥ,
upasadaḥ,
śirodharaṁ,
śīrṣakam,
tvam,
tvam,
prāyaṇīya,
prāyaṇīya,
udayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ,
daṁṣṭraḥ,
jihvā, pravargyas,
tava,
tava, śīrṣakam,
kratoḥ,
satya,
satya,
āvasathyam, citayaḥ, asavaḥ, te. Okay. dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ,
dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ, śirodharaṁ,
tvam prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ,
tvam prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ,
jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ,
jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ,
satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo
satyāvasathyaṁ, citayo, savo.
dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ, tvam prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ, jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ, satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo
satyāvasathyaṁ, citayo, savo.
dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ, tvam prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ, jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ, satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo. Please repeat.
dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ,
dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ,
tvam
tvam
prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ,
prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ,
jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ,
jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ,
satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo.
satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo. dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ, tvam prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ, jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ, satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo hite. dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ. prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ. jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ. satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo hite. dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ. tvam prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ. jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ. satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo hite.
dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ.
dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ.
tvam prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ.
prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ.
jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ.
jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ.
satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo hite.
satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo hite.
Mothers.
dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ.
tvam
prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ. jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ. satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo hite. dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ. tvam prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ. jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ. satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo hite.
dīkṣānujanmopasadaḥ śirodharaṁ. tvam prāyaṇīyodayanīya-daṁṣṭraḥ. jihvā pravargyas tava śīrṣakam kratoḥ. satyāvasathyaṁ citayo savo hite. Okay, word for word. Dīkṣā,
dīkṣā,
initiation.
initiation.
Anujanma,
anujanma,
spiritual birth
spiritual birth,
or repeated incarnations.
or repeated incarnations.
Upasadaḥ,
upasadaḥ,
three kinds of desires.
three kinds of desires.
Relationship, activities, and ultimate goal.
Relationship, activities, and ultimate goal.
Śirodharaṁ,
śīrādharam,
the neck.
tvam,
You. Prāyaṇīya,
prāyaṇīya,
after the result of initiation.
after the result of initiation.
Udayanīya,
udayanīya,
the last rites of desires.
the last rites of desires.
Daṁṣṭraḥ,
daṁṣṭraḥ,
the tusk.
the tusks.
Jihvā,
jihvā,
the tongue.
the tongue.
Pravargyaḥ,
pravargyas,
prior activities.
pravargyas.
Tava,
tava,
your.
your.
śīrṣakam,
śīrṣakam,
head.
head.
Kratoḥ,
kratoḥ,
of the sacrifice.
of sacrifice.
Satya,
Satya,
fire without sacrifice.
fire without sacrifice.
Āvasathyam,
Āvasathyam,
fire worship.
fire worship.
Citayaḥ,
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 aggregate of all desires.
aggregate of all desires.
Asavaḥ,
Asavaḥ,
life breath.
life breath.
He, certainly.
Certainly.
Your.
Your.
Translation. Moreover, O Lord, the repetition of your appearance is desire for all kinds of initiation. Your neck is the place for three desires. Your tusks are the result of initiation and the end of all desires. Your tongue is the prior activities of initiation. Your head is a fire without sacrifice, as well as the fire of worship. And your living forces are the aggregate of all desires. Text 38. Please forgive me if I mispronounce these next verses. I have them let your tongue. Okay. Somastu reta savananyavastiti samsta vibedas tava deva tavaha satrani sarvani sarira sandish tvam sarva yagya kratar ishta bandanaha. Text 38. Translation. O Lord, your semen is a sacrifice called soma yagya. Your growth is the ritualistic performances of the morning. Your skin and touch sensations are the 7 elements of the agnishtoma sacrifice. Your bodily joints are symbols of various other sacrifices performed in 12 days. Therefore, you are the object of all sacrifices called soma and ashoma, and you are bound by yagyas only. Purport. There are 7 kinds of routine yagyas performed by all followers of the Vedic rituals, and they are called agnishtoma, atyagnishtoma, Ukta, Sodashi, Vajapeya, Atiratra, and Aptoryama. Anyone performing such yagyas regularly is supposed to be situated with the Lord. But anyone who is in contact with the Supreme Lord by discharging devotional service is understood to have performed all different varieties of yagyas. Text 39. Namo namaste kila mantra devata dravyaya sharva kratave kriyatmane vairagya bhaktyatma jayanubhavita ganaya vidya gurave namo namaha. Translation. O Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are worshipable by universal prayers, Vedic hymns, and sacrificial ingredients. We offer our obeisances unto you. You can be realized by the pure mind, free from all visible and invisible material contamination. We offer our respectful obeisances to you as the Supreme Spiritual Master of knowledge and devotional service. Purport. The qualification of bhakti, or devotional service to the Lord, is that the devotee should be free from all material contaminations and desires. This freedom is called vairagya, or renouncement of material desires. One who engages in devotional service to the Lord, according to regulative principles, is automatically freed from material desires, and in that pure state of mind, one can realize the personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, instructs the devotee regarding pure devotional service, so that he may ultimately achieve the association of the Lord. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 10:10 as follows: Te sham satata yogdanam bhadram priti purvagam dadami buddhi yogam tam yinamam upayanti te. To one who constantly engages in devotional service to the Lord with faith and love, the Lord certainly gives the intelligence to achieve him at the ultimate end. One has to conquer the mind, and one may do it by following the Vedic rituals and by performing different types of sacrifice. The ultimate end of all those performances is to attain bhakti, or the devotional service of the Lord. Without bhakti, one cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The original Personality of Godhead, or his innumerable expansions of Vishnu, are the only objects of worship by all the Vedic rituals and sacrificial performances. Om Jnanati Vrangisha Gananjana Salakaya Chakshu Mitamina Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Chititana Melovisam Sapitamina Buddha De Swam Upakadamayam Dadati Swapatantitam Vandeham Shri Guru Sita Padagamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahaganatam Tam Sivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Pajana Sayyam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Bhadan Sahaganam Lalita śirsakam Vitam Sha He Krishna Karina Sindha Dina Madam Chikapate Gopashikapika Kanta Radha Namosite Dr. Kanta Gori Yuada Ivanavana Shri Vishapana Sita Devi Panamami Hipriye Manchakapatu Pachaki Pasini Payuda Patitana Palmiyo Vaishnavi. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vikasa Swamiti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvasisha Shunyavadi Pahashata Desitarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so I'm actually gonna take over the screen. Okay, so we're on 3, 13, 37. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna start with this first. So this is chapter 13, the appearance of Lord Varaha. Previously, we've been talking about the Lord appearing, killing the demon here on Yaksha, and then lifting the earth that was submerged in Garbhodaka water. And you see that the Lord is always performing miracles. And after he performed this miracle, the sages of the upper planets, this is the portion after he performed the miracle of lifting the earth, saving the earth, and killing the demon, they're glorifying him. So devotees are always eager to glorify the Lord for his supernatural activities. And we see in this first verse and second verse, is mainly talking about the body of the Lord, what the body of the Lord is consisting of. And you see that the Lord's body is purely transcendental. It's never contaminated by material effects or contaminations. So the body of the Lord, as you see here, your bodily joints are symbols of various other sacrifices performed in 12 days. Therefore, you're the object of all sacrifices. So it's speaking of this. I think Vishnu was making the point that there's one name of Varaha, Yajna Varaha. He's the object of all yajnas. And this verse is talking about how his body is composed of ingredients of yajna. So you see that also in a couple of verses back, actually, well, let's say right here, in the purport, it talks about the different routine yajnas performed by the followers of the Vedic rituals called Agnishtoma, Atyag, Nishtoma, Ukta, Sodashi. So it talks about these different types of yajnas and rituals. And if you see earlier, we talked about this actually. These were the same yajnas that were manifested from Lord Brahma. All the same thing, all the different varieties of the fire sacrifice, Sodashi, Ukta, same thing. So in the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma, these ingredients for yajna were manifested from him. And you see the body of the Lord also comprises the same ingredients that was manifested from Lord Brahma. So what does that mean? What that means is the means to attain Krishna is inextricably linked with him. Just like this microphone, whoever created this microphone, there is a means to use it. With this microphone, there is knowledge of how to use the microphone, right? It's inextricably linked with the microphone. It can't be separated. The microphone and knowledge of the microphone, how to use it, are inextricably linked. Same thing with the body of the Lord and the means to attain the Lord. The body of the Lord, as we just read in this verse, is composed of ingredients of sacrifice. And the means to attain him was manifested by Lord Brahma in the beginning of the creation. So what does that mean? That means that when we perform yajnas, it's satisfying to Krishna because his body is composed of the elements of those yajnas. It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around it, but you can understand it because you can understand this basic principle that the means of bhakti and the end are the same. which the impersonalists cannot realize. The means and the end are the same. So the means to attain Krishna and the end are the same. It's not like we're chanting Hare Krishna, we go back to the spiritual world, and now we're chanting some Mayavad slokas or something. No, the same means that we're using to attain Krishna is comprised in the body of Krishna, that's why it's pleasing to Krishna. That's why when we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the Lord is dancing on our tongue because his body is non-different. The Lord's name and his body are non-different. And you see that in Bhagavad Gita, it speaks about this. It speaks about how the Vedas are mainly composed actually from the three modes of material nature, right? And then in this verse, where is it? It talks about the different yagyas, sacrificial performances that were performed by the Brahmanas. And it's in the Vedas. It's in the Vedas. Certain sacrificial performances and yagyas are in the Vedas. But some of these are for promotion to the heavenly planets, right? It's still pleasing to Krishna. Ultimately, Krishna wants us to serve him. He wants us to follow the Vedic rituals. But higher than that, as Prabhupada's saying, is that by performing devotional service, you have performed all different types of yagyas. So for those who are less intelligent, they go through the process of the Vedas. They go through the process of performing these different sacrificial rites or performances, and they attain, a higher destination, a heavenly birth, whatever. But ultimately, the performance of yajna is ultimately to please Krishna. That's what the whole point of yajna is, to please Krishna, because his body is composed of yajna, as we just read. So, where am I getting at? Directly pleasing Krishna is only performed by yajna. And in previous ages, that yajna, there's different types of yajna. In Satya Yuga, the Yuga Dharma was like meditation. In Treta Yuga, the Yuga Dharma was what was it? Fire sacrifice? What was it? In Treta Yuga. In Treta Yuga, yeah, fire sacrifice. That's what I thought. And in Dwapara Yuga, it was like deity worship. But you see now, all these processes, it's not that in previous ages they didn't chant Hare Krishna. It's not that in previous ages they didn't chant. Do you see even in Dhruva Maharaj's pastime, he was chanting Om Namo Narayanaya. He was chanting the Lord's holy name. So it's not that in previous ages they weren't chanting the holy name. It's just we're so unqualified in this age that we're not qualified to chant the Vedic mantras. We're not qualified to perform. Well, we perform deity worship, but we're not qualified to do it to the grandeur that they did in previous ages. So it's not that they didn't chant Hare Krishna in the previous ages. They chant Hare Krishna, but specifically in this age, we're so fallen, this is our only means to please Krishna. It's our only means to please Krishna. Ultimately, Varnashram Dharma is meant for yajna. And you see in Prithu Maharaj, you see in the fourth canto. In the fourth canto, you see when he was performing the 100-horse sacrifice. If you read that pastime, all the members of his kingdom were present. Sudras, Vaishyas, Satyas, and the Brahmanas, all of them were present, right? And they assisted in the yajna, whether directly or indirectly, but by being present, they all got the benefits of the yajna. So Varnashram Dharma is meant to facilitate yajna. And you see, when we have our farm communities, the purpose of the farm community is to reach as Varnashram Dharma. For what purpose? What is the end? To facilitate Sankirtan Yajna. That is the end. The point of us establishing the farm communities is for that goal. If we're not performing Sankirtan on the farm communities, then we're missing the whole point. We're missing the whole point. The reason why we're having these farm communities, establish Varnashram Dharma, because the culture of the Vedic culture can help us in our Sankirtan, ultimately. Sankirtan, Guru Maharaj breaks it down that Sangha. So chanting in a congregation. So when we should have daily kirtan at least 3 times a day on the farm communities, minimum. Because that's the whole point of the community. It's not, yes, we have other facilities there, such as, we have cows, we're growing vegetables naturally, and, we're doing all these other things. But you have to understand, this is all subsidiary to Sankirtan Yajna. All this is to help facilitate Sankirtan Yajna, ultimately. So when we are able to And Krishna says, in this verse that you are bound by yajnas only. And Krishna is bound by the love of his devotees. He's bound by the love of his devotees. And in this, like I said, in this age, those who Sumedha-saha, they are chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. They are attracted by this Maha mantra. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I haven't memorized the verse yet. I really should. But the Sumedha-saha verse, Prabhupada gives a commentary on it in the Adi Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay. Oh, that is not it. Let's see. Adi 11 Adi Leela. No. Prabhupada gives his. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. Yeah. It is. Okay. So Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Shango Pangashra Parshadam Yagnayi Sankita Prayar Yajanti Hi Sumedha-saha. So it's obviously, yeah. So in this age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. I'm not going to read this whole purport. It's for something specifically I want to hit on. So this point right here, Lord Chaitanya always chants the holy name of Krishna and describes it also. And because he is Krishna himself, whoever meets him will automatically chant the holy name of Krishna and later describe it to others. He injects one to transcendental Krishna consciousness, which merges the chanter and transcendental bliss. In all respects, therefore, he appears before everyone as Krishna, either by personality or by sound. So I'm going to just highlight that. In all respects, he appears before everyone either by personality or sound. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. So Srila Jiva Goswami explains that his beauty is his astra, or weapon, to subdue the demons. Because he's all attractive, it is understood that all the demigods live with him as his companions. So the Lord Chaitanya's beauty, his weapon is his beauty. And as I just said, he appears either by his personally or by sound. So what does that mean? That means the sound is by chanting Hare Krishna is the most beautiful sound. People are attracted by this. People are attracted by this sound. People, especially in this age, you hear like so many sounds. So many people are enamored by music nowadays. But this is the most beautiful sound, and it's coming directly from the spiritual world. And we have to be captivated by this sound because it's non-different from Lord Chaitanya. And this is the way to please him. Sankirtan Yajna is beautiful. As it's saying, that's his weapon. His weapon is his beauty. His weapon is his beauty. So when we perform Sankirtan, we're attracting the masses of people to come. They become attracted by the devotees. That's the first step. And then eventually they can become attracted to the holy name of Krishna. But because we're still attached to the material conception of life, we can't fully relish the beauty of Krishna nor of his holy name. When we chant Krishna's name, we're not having the consciousness that is not different from him. We still have the consciousness of thinking Krishna and his holy name are different, right? But they're not different; they're the same. But the higher level of consciousness you attain, the higher levels of realizations that you can realize that when you're chanting Krishna's name is non-different. He's dancing on your tongue. And it's beautiful. But like I said, we're attached. So, okay, in this verse today, we're talking about the body of the Lord. Okay? It's fully spiritual. But in the Bhagavad Gita also talks about it uses the material world as a banyan tree. It compares material world like a banyan tree. Right? Urdhvam mula madashakam ashvatam prāyaṇīya-daṁṣṭraḥ Shadamsi yasha parnini yastam veda saveda vit. Shadamsi says that the leaves are the hymns. The leaves are the Vedic hymns. The branches are upwards and they go downwards. And we are karmani bandini manusha loke. We are bound by our activities to this tree. By our karma, we're bound to the material world, right? And as long as we're bound to the material world by our karma, we cannot fully appreciate the transcendental body of Krishna. We cannot fully receive that reciprocation of Krishna because we're still attached to this banyan tree. But Yastam Vedas Veda Vit. One who knows the purpose of the Vedas knows the material world, right? They know the nature of the material world. They know how to use the material world in Krishna's service. Yastam Vedas Veda Vit. Those who know the Vedas. See, the thing is, like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he studied the Vedas, but he wasn't a knower of the Vedas. Studying the Vedas does not make you a knower of the Vedas. Knowing the Vedas means knowing Krishna, knowing matter, spirit, the controller of both, right? So you have these studies of the Vedas. They were studied the slokas. They might memorize all the Vedas, all the four Vedas. They might memorize them, but they missed the point. Because they missed the point that the purpose of the Vedas is to please Krishna. So they're still bound by this tree of material existence, ultimately. So one who knows the nature of the material world is a knower of the Vedas. So I'm gonna go to the next text. What was it? It was 3, 13, 20, 38, I think. Yeah, so I was speaking on these two verses about the body of the Lord and Yajna and how he's bound by Yajnas. So I'm going to speak on this verse now. How the Supreme Lord is worshipable by universal prayers, Vedic hymns, and sacrificial ingredients. You can be realized by the pure mind, free from all visible and invisible material contamination. So the mind is naturally the material mind is naturally contaminated, but the mind of Krishna is fully spiritual. So if you want to realize Krishna, he's fully spiritual. We also have to spiritualize our mind. To the degree that we are freed from the contamination of the mind is the degree that we can understand Krishna. The degree we're contaminated by material nature, that's to the degree that we cannot understand Krishna. I mean, it's pretty simple understanding. But you see that also freed. Prabhupada talks about being freed from all material contamination. And what does he say? This freedom is called vairagya. And Prabhupada says one who engages in devotional service to the Lord according to regulative principles is automatically freed. There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita that says that by practicing the regulative principles of freedom, right? By following regulations, you can attain freedom. It's hard for people to wrap their mind around how being strict and having principles makes you free, right? People think freedom means freedom to follow your mind, follow your desires, and do whatever the hell you want. This is not real freedom, actually. This is bondage. Real freedom actually is following the principles of the Vedas. Because freedom means freedom from what? Freedom from your mind. Freedom from these desires that are causing us to be attached to this banyan tree of the material world. This is real freedom, right? Asanga Shashrina Dina Titva. The weapon of detachment comes by following the principles, the regular principles of freedom. This is how this weapon of attachment that is described, it comes by following these principles. So for the neophytes, we follow the sadhana. We follow our sadhana. We're very strict, actually. It's not that we're strict fanatically, just, it's certain things that we're not strict for the purpose of being strict. We're strict for the purpose of elevating Krishna consciousness. Rupa Goswami says this in his Nectar of Instruction. We're not following this is niyamagraha. We're not just following the rules and regulations just to do it. We're doing it for the purpose of elevating in bhakti yoga. That is the point. And the more we are strict and the principles laid down by the acharyas, to that degree we can be freed from the influence of our mind. So we have to follow these regulative principles of freedom. And in this connection, I wanted to read this one story of Rishashringa. This story is very interesting. It talks about a young boy who has never seen a woman before. So, becoming attracted to the worldly singing. Can everybody see this? All right. Becoming attracted to the worldly singing, dancing, and musical entertainment of beautiful women, even the great sage Rishashringa, the son of Mrigi, fell totally under control, just like a pet animal. Rishashringa, the young son of the sage Mrigi, was intentionally brought up by his father in an atmosphere of complete innocence. Mrigi Rishi thought that if his son were never exposed to the sight of woman, he would always remain that perfect brahmachari. But by chance, the inhabitants of the neighboring kingdom, who were suffering from a long-term drought, received divine advice that rain would return to the kingdom only after the Brahma named Rishashringa stepped foot in it. Therefore, they sent beautiful women to the hermitage of Mrigi to entice Rishashringa and bring him back with him. Just a side note, you see the power of a brahmachari. You see the power of renunciation, that just by him being on the kingdom, stepping foot, he could bring rain. It's the power of a brahmana brahmachari. It's very powerful. Okay. Rishashringa had never even heard about a woman. He easily fell for the trap. The name Rishashringa indicates that the young shade was born with a deer-like horn growing out of his forehead. If, like the deer, a rishi becomes attracted to sweet musical sounds promising sense gratification, then, like the deer, he is quickly vanquished. A thoughtful person should humbly take instruction from the deer, who is doomed by attraction to musical sense gratification. So why did I mention this pastime? You see that you cannot free your mind simply by going to a cave or just going to your room and be like, okay, I'm not going to see the sight of the opposite sex. I'm not going to... You see Rishashringa, even though he never saw the sight of a woman, right? Once he finally saw one, all these desires finally came out. So that is not the way to control the mind. The way to control the mind is not to artificially isolate yourself from society. The way to control your mind is practicing the regulative principles of freedom by chanting Hare Krishna and association of devotees. This is the way to free your mind. So even if you artificially try to renounce from the world, you're actually a pretender. It says it in the Bhagavad Gita. Those who renounce from the world but are meditating on the objects of the senses are considered a pretender, actually. So, and they delude themselves. Not only do they delude themselves, they delude others who are looking up to them, for spiritual guidance. So people see, when I first saw the Hare Krishna, I thought they were just Buddhists, because me personally, I was attracted to the idea of renunciation. Most people are starting to become more attracted to this idea of renunciation, actually. People are starting to become aware that renunciation is necessary, because the more they become attached to their phone, Instagram, whatever, they're like, okay, I'm too much Instagram, let me just delete it. It's like they delete it, or, too much alcohol, I'm just going to just abstain from it. So people have some understanding of, okay, the more I indulge in this, the more I'm suffering, so let me renounce from it, right? But it's artificial renunciation because they're still meditating on it. So real renunciation, as Prabhupada was saying in this purport I just read today, that vairagya, ultimate yukta vairagya is the highest renunciation, because we're using things in Krishna's service, right? This is the highest form of renunciation. And yes, it takes time. It's not that once we join the Hare Krishnas, yes, I'm fully liberated. Yes, I can, see Krishna. I'm dancing with the gopis. It's not like that. It could take years, maybe lifetimes. It could. Depends on how sincere you are. Depends. But like Prabhupada is saying, actually, and we read, mukti comes automatically by practicing Hare Krishna. By chanting Hare Krishna. By chanting Hare Krishna, the thing is, you can't even practice bhakti without having mukti. Right? Bhakti needs to be performed in a liberated state, as Prabhupada is saying in the purport we read today. But naturally, by chanting Hare Krishna, the level of mukti, the thing is, so it's different levels of liberation. You have liberation from your mind, and you also have actually liberation from your body and whatever, as the Brahmavadis try to do, merge into the impersonal Brahman. But liberation in the sense that you're liberated from your desires. So when you're chanting Hare Krishna, and you have the desire to serve Krishna at that moment, when you have the desire to serve Krishna, then you're liberated from your false desires. But what happens is we teeter on the platform of material and spiritual consciousness. We go back and forth with the marginal potency. At some points, everybody who's here has had some param just for Nivartante. Everybody who is here have had some higher taste, if we wouldn't be here, right? What happens is we teeter on the material platform and spiritual platform, but the excellent sage is able to remain fixed on that spiritual platform. And the more, like I said, the more you are able to be fixed on the spiritual platform, to that degree, you are able to understand Krishna. To that degree. So, in this verse, today, it quotes a very known verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Ina Mam Upayanti Te. This verse is very foundational for devotees because it gives us assurance that even if I don't have any knowledge of Krishna, even though for some reason I'm lacking in the study of Vedas, Krishna, he's promising us. He will give us the knowledge to attain him, right? And I want to talk about that for a little bit. It's kind of a dense conversation, but the realizations, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj has a class called Scriptures and Revelations. And in this, he talks about this verse and like different realizations that devotees get. Okay? Ultimately, the devotee is always going to be successful, right? As long as he's on the path of devotional service, even if he doesn't go back to God in his life, he's assured success. And this is in this 10:10 verse actually. I'm not gonna go to it, but I'll just read it. Prabhupada says, one should know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed. The ultimate goal is achieved. So Prabhupada is saying we will achieve the ultimate goal eventually, right? It might be slow, it might be tedious, but eventually we'll attain it. But those who are fully engaged in Sankirtan, Prabhupada promises us that Lord Chaitanya will personally come and save us. Personally, he will come. So one beauty about the Bhagavatam is that in the Bhagavad Gita, it has, see, for example, this verse, Tesham Satata Yuktanam, if you really think about it, it's a lot packed in there. And it's only so much that can be explained in this one verse. But the beauty about the Bhagavatam is it elaborates these points in the Bhagavad Gita. So this one verse in the Bhagavatam 11 canto elaborates on this Tesham Satata Yuktanam verse. It's 11:235. And this, I love this verse. I remember when I read this verse, I was like, wow, this is beautiful, this is poetry. O King, one who accepts this process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead will never blunder on his path in this world. Even while running with eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. This is like beautiful. Even while running with both eyes closed. And in the purport, Sridhar Swami explains what that means, running with both eyes closed. He says that, where is it? Okay. Yes, Sridhar Swami says that even if running with both eyes closed, the devotee on this path of Bhagavad Dharma will not stumble. Closing one's eyes refers to being ignorance of standard Vedic literatures. As is stated, the Shruti and Smriti scriptures are like the two eyes of the Brahmanas. Lacking one of them, a Brahmanas have blind, and deprived of both, he's considered completely blind, right? So, for those who are practicing, especially in this age of Kali, we're not going to be expert in all the principles of the Vedas, right? But even if we're lacking one of them, this verse is assuring we're still guaranteed success. And if you scroll down a little more, it talks about what, this is a very nice purport. I would encourage devotees to read it, but it's a certain point I want to make from it. I think it's right here. No, that's not it. Okay, yeah, right here. Okay, this is a conclusion. All right, therefore, it is important to understand, as stated here, that spontaneous revelation by the Lord within the heart is meant not to alter the eternal process of devotional service to the Lord, but to give a supplementary facility to sincere devotee who is ignorant of the revealed scriptures. So it's not that we shouldn't study the scriptures. Not like, say this something like doing. I'm practicing. I don't need to study. Krishna will reveal it in my heart. It's not like that. We have to strive for studying the scriptures and the Vedic literatures. However, even if we're ignorant, that's what this verse is saying. Krishna, it's a supplement. He will give this revelation as a supplement to us not getting revelations from reading because of lack of because of ignorance, of lack of understanding, or whatever. Krishna will give us that revelation, right? But it's also important to understand that we will get realizations in Krishna consciousness, right? We will get realizations and we'll get revelations, but it needs to be confirmed through Sadhu Guru Shastra, right? Because there's one anecdote I was reading in the diary the other day, that it was this young Mataji. She married somebody when she was 18. I think maybe 3 years later, her husband took sannyas. They didn't divulge who this person was, who sannyas was, but he took sannyas 3 years after marrying her. And she wrote to Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, I married when I was very little. I had the realization that, women need to be protected, and, I need to be cared for. And there was a brahmachari. So she did deity worship on the altar. And she said that there's also a brahmachari, unmarried brahmachari, that's also doing deity worship. And she said that, Prabhupada, I think we're compatible. And I had the revelation that we're compatible, and he can be a good spouse for me. And can you give me your blessings? When Prabhupada read it, he immediately said, "This is illicit sex." Prabhupada said, "This is illicit sex." Prabhupada was not happy about this. He was not happy because, he thought about both sides. He said, okay, she's unmarried. Her husband, she's not protected right now because her husband took sannyas. But on the other end, it would disturb the mind of the husband. After taking sannyas and then his wife remarries, it's not according to Vedic culture. So she had some realization, she had some revelation that maybe this brahmachari is like meant for me and he can provide for me, protect me. She had a realization. But like I said, we might get some realizations, but if it's not confirmed by Sadhu Guru Shastra, then it's ultimately the realization. So the thing is, Krishna will give us realizations according to our desires, right? And you see like great philosophers. Now I'm blanking on all these mundane philosophers. Name a mundane philosopher. Yeah, Socrates. Who else? Plato, Aristotle. Yeah, whatever. So you have these great philosophers. They speak some really high, complicated philosophy. Who's giving them that realization? They feel like they're getting revealed something. Krishna gave it to them, but it was according to their desires, right? They desired to have some type of revelation on the material world platform, and Krishna gave it to them, right? So Krishna will give us realizations according to our desires, right? So as long as we're on the neophyte platform, our realizations have to be confirmed by Sadhu Guru Shastra, or our realizations will actually be the cause of our downfall. If she didn't ask Prabhupada for his blessings, she would have completely offended him. Not only she would have offended her guru, she would have offended her husband, and it would have been a complete mess for her. So like I said, this Tesam Chachasada Yuktanam verse, as far as Krishna giving us these realizations, he will give it to us, and to the degree we're purified is to the degree he will give us these pure realizations. So we have to strive to cultivate this pure consciousness and pure desires. Once we have these pure desires, then when these revelations come, we still should verify it by Sadhu Guru Shastra, but we get more confident that, okay, according to my desires, I'm having some revelations that I should be Maya. This is the result of your gross desires. However, I do want to, this is an important point. In that lecture, Revelation and Scripture, Synonyms Bhakti Swami quotes by Bhakti Vinod Thakur from his Tattva Sutra. He says that, okay, before I say that, we were talking about, I think in Ali Krishna's class, different types of Vedic evidences, right? And the top four being direct perception, hypothesis, historical references, and then ultimately Vedic scriptures. So Vedic scriptures is the highest pramanam, right? And then I'll dug more into it, and Bhakti Vinod Thakur says something very interesting. He says, the topmost pramanam is realization by liberated souls. Wow, interesting. The topmost, but you got to understand this though. This is a very important point. The topmost pramanam is a realization by liberated souls. Okay, so Lord Brahma, he received the Chatur Sloki of the Bhagavatam by Krishna, right? 4 verses. And then over time, it's been elaborated, and then it got to Vyasadeva, elaborated more. Then Sukadeva Goswami elaborated on more, right? So the Srimad Bhagavatam has been elaborated by the realizations of pure devotees. So this Bhagavatam is not just like one person's realization. It's actually, if you read it, it's a amalgamation of liberated souls' realizations, revelations. So on the mundane, for the neophyte, their realizations, right, need to be confirmed by Sadhu Guru Shastra. because they might be contaminated by material desires. But for the realized souls, for the perfect devotee, their realizations are pramanam. Their realizations are the Vedic evidences, right? And you see Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. Prabhupada would go through his books. He would read his books and he said, Krishna wrote this. So the realization of devotees is directly inspired by Krishna from within because they're completely purified. The realization is completely purified. And actually, the name Rishi means one who attains realizations by Krishna and distributes the knowledge to others. Right? Vyasadeva was a great Rishi. A Rishi, by definition, is one who is getting realizations from Krishna and he distributes it to others. And the Bhagavatam is an amalgamation of the Rishis, the great sages, who have gotten direct realizations from Krishna. It's the topmost pramanam. It's the topmost pramanam. It's to receive these realizations from the pure devotees. So we see that just to summarize the class, that when we perform Sankirtan Yajna, it's a direct means to please Krishna. And it's a direct means to please the previous acharyas. And based on the realizations of Srila Prabhupada, he has given us his Maha Mantra. He's given us the facilities to practice Krishna consciousness in a pure way in association with devotees. He's given us a realization that we should have farm community. Where's this idea coming from? Yes, Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita, that out of the four, that out of the four divisions of life, he's the proprietor of it, right? But where's this realization that we should have farm communities? Where's this coming from? It's coming from the realization of a pure devotee. It makes it pramanam. Prabhupada's realization that we should establish farm communities was inspired by Krishna. Krishna is speaking through Prabhupada. Krishna is giving Prabhupada that understanding of how devotees can practice Krishna consciousness in the best way and means. So we should directly understand why Prabhupada is giving us these directions. We should understand the reason of it. Actually, Mood and Mission, Guru Maharaj makes that point. It's not necessarily, the book is not necessarily for devotees who don't know the philosophy. It's meant for those who already know the philosophy, understanding how this philosophy came about. How do we can fulfill the predictions of the acharyas, instead of the what, of the how and why. So I'm in my class here, and I'm open up for corrections, comments, or any chastisement, stuff like that.
Very nice class. So this just one small correction is Dhruva Maharaj chanted Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Oh yeah, I said it right. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it's Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sorry.
And
about that.
this quote that you had from the purport to Krishnavarnam to Shakrishnam.
Yeah, I could pull that up.
It's very nice that there was saying that Lord Chaitanya is accompanied by all the demigods because he's all attractive. And I was thinking, Lord Chaitanya is all attractive, performing Sankirtan. And so he's of course, his beauty, his form is all attractive, but because Sankirtan is Krishna Sankirtan, there are many quotes where it says Sankirtan is all attractive. And I was thinking that wherever there is Sankirtan, then it will be all attractive, which will cause all the demigods to live there. That brings all auspiciousness, all blessings, all good fortune. Another way to think about it is that where the all-attractive Sankirtan is performed, the devotees themselves are like the demigods. Because they're Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhagavatya Kinchana Sarvair Gunais Tatra Samasate Suraha. The devotees themselves are as good or even better than the demigods. So, and the one who can come into that such kind of association is blessed by those devotees, by the devotees who are like demigods. They create auspiciousness for others. They make the others' lives, by associating with such demigod-like devotees, our inauspicious life becomes auspicious. And I was thinking that you were making a point about the farm being primarily established for performance of Sankirtan, and that if the farm is made attractive in that manner, where Sankirtan becomes the central purpose, then
It'll be all
it'll be like
Yeah.
it'll be all auspicious. The demigods are present there, and the devotees themselves are like demigods, and that way it can create auspiciousness for anybody who comes into their association, making it all attractive. So thank you for highlighting that. Quite nice.
I was just thinking about when you said that they say in Kali Yuga that the demigods don't come to the earthly planet, right? But they don't interact with humans. But then you see in London that Prabhupada established Vyasa-san for Narada Muni, and was it Brahma, I think? Yeah. So although they don't interact with humans, right? Srila Prabhupada was still able to have that vision that they're still coming here to the temple. I think I was reading that makes the point that the temples are non-different from the spiritual world. It's not just some mundane place. The demigods they're not coming to some mundane place in Kali Yuga, because even says in the I think in that same passage of Preeti Maharaj, I believe that the associates of Lord Narayana, they couldn't set foot on the earth because it was so polluted. They're so pure that I think that's pastime, right?
That's just the characteristic of the demigods.
Right, they don't even set foot. They only set foot on the earth because it's so contaminated. It's not pure enough for them. But yet they're coming to the temple of the Hare Krishnas. So just like you're saying, how attractive it is, how the Sankirtan movement is so attractive that even the demigods who don't have nothing to do with Kali Yuga are still trying to come to our temples. So what does it say about materialists who are completely blinded by illusion? We can make it attractive. It will be attractive for them. It's not that it might be, it will be. Because, it's already in the scriptures that Sankirtan is all attractive, as you were saying. So if it's all attractive, how can we not have faith that they're not going to be attracted by it?
There's that verse with Yamaraj where he's saying that actually the demigods are lining up to participate in the Sankirtan movement. So they're eager to come down to be a part of it. They're waiting in line. So we have a great fortune. In regards to your speaking about regulation and how that by following scripture regulation one actually gets what were you quoting that?
I was just saying that it gets freedom. So I was saying that by following the regular principles, the regular rules of freedom, you attain perfection. I think it's in the Bible. I'm misquoting that, but yeah.
No, I just mentioned. I was thinking about that
What is
point.
it?
And
264.
when one comes to that level of proper regulation in terms of Shastra, in terms of properly eating, properly sleeping, properly hearing, properly doing all of these things, properly worshipping.
That's not it. Oh yeah.
In the mode of goodness, then he finds that freedom in which his mind is controlled. And you growing up in the society, like I think we were talking about in the Varnashram meeting, and we always feel like we have to get so much done at once, like we're hearing a lecture and reading a book at the same time, maybe, something, or you always have to be doing something. But the Vedic culture is actually regulate yourself. Everything is done systematically, maybe one by one. And so this allows us to actually regulate our mind. And the more we can adapt to that culture and realize, not everything has to be done like right now, right tomorrow, right then, the more actually healthy we become in the mind, in our spiritual life, in everything, actually, body, mind, everything. Because that's just the nature. Bhagavad Gita teaches us all of these things. It takes some time for us to readjust, but when we start to kind of realize that we can slow down a little bit, it's okay. Then things become better in general.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was just talking to somebody about this other day. How the point you're making, that we don't have to do everything on But that's like this modern ideology that try to get as much done in the shortest amount of time possible, and whether you make mistakes doesn't matter, you got it done. And this has been translated in also, not translated, but this idea has been encapsulated in modern medicine. This allopathic, I think I said, yeah, this allopathic medicine is completely based on that it doesn't actually solve the problems. It tries to get a lot of stuff done in the beginning, but then doesn't actually solve the problem, right? But then you see in Vedic culture, they take a long time to treat something, right? For example, like I have this eczema and I've been trying to go to doctors to fix it and they give me some cream. They're like, just put the cream on it, it'll be better. Like the eczema scar will go away, then it'll pop up somewhere else, right? So it's not actually solving the problem. It just gives them a quick solution. But like in Ayurveda, they say actually you need a 23-day detox minimum, right? It's not just you put some cream on it. No, you have to go through a whole process beforehand to get to the root of the issue. So like you're saying, the point, like the Vedic culture is meant to do things in stages and gradually, not try to do everything at one time. This is demonic American idea that you have to just this is passion, this is Roger going on ultimately.
So you spoke how like personalities, great personalities, their realizations can lead to like further advancement or development. I don't know the words you use, but
Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the realizations of pure devotees are pramanam, are the highest pramanam. And I was saying by following that, we can also, by following their realizations and their guidance, we can also gradually come to a level of pure devotion service.
I guess like there was instances where like obviously like Sankirtan's like the central aspect of our movement, but I don't know, just one example in Moon Missions described as very a temporary fix, but stopping was it Harinam in India because they were being looked as beggars. So sometimes those things can happen. But like on a especially after the acharya leaves or our guru leaves, communities tend to split. Everybody has, this is the way I've understood the message.
Yeah, that's in the Bhagavatam.
So they're trying their best, but they may have some material desires mixed in. I don't know. I was just wondering if you could like talk about that, like how to keep a community together. What can we do to like prepare for those things that different ideologies may split us apart, or is there anything you can do in that regard?
Well, the thing is, I was saying the Bhagavatam, it says that, I forget, I think in the 4th canto somewhere, maybe, I might be getting the canto mixed up, but when a great personality leaves the Acharya, then there's like schisms amongst his disciples. Like this is in the Bhagavatam. And you're asking like what we can do to prevent those schisms. The thing is, ultimately, we're in the material world. There's always going to be different fractions and schisms. Even with Prabhupada, the Gaudiya Math, there's different like schisms. Only thing is we really can do is not to be bewildered by it. All we can do is just find an acharya or a teacher. Ultimately, acharya just means teacher, but then you have like gradations of that, of who is. Anyways, I'm not getting into that. But find a teacher, an acharya, who is saying the same thing as the predecessor acharyas and not deviating. And that's all we can do and follow their directions. And then when schisms come, just stick to the lotus feet of that acharya. I think that, especially in ISKCON, anyways, whatever I said it, but in ISKCON, people get so bewildered by this problem, that problem, FDG, poison theory, this, that. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be, there's gonna be different ideologies about it, right? But only thing we do is say, okay, what is my guru say about it? If that's what my guru says, I'm gonna follow that. It's not. What else can we do? It's gonna happen. Factions are gonna happen. All we can do is follow the directions of our spiritual master. I don't know if somebody else wants to say something about that, but I don't really have a solution to stopping factions and schisms in the society. Yeah, I haven't gotten there
Read
yet.
Volume 3, Motivation. There's a lot. It's a huge topic. I mean, how are you going to keep a community together? That's a topic that pretty much every movement struggles with.
Yeah.
So it's something that, but one aspect of it, there's following the guru and understanding the Vani, and his main thing was, well, everybody understands the Vani differently.
Yeah.
So that's where the problem comes in. So therefore, even after the guru leaves, there has to be siksha gurus
Yeah,
in your
exactly,
lives to make sure that still guru is present in your life. Not that the guru is left, now, okay, that's it. Okay, now, I just understand it the way I want to understand it. It still has to be done in the association of devotees, not being attached to the world. Now I know everything. It's like, okay, how am I meant to understand this? And there's a discussion amongst devotees that are well learned in that. And so when devotees just take, my idea and that's it, that's how I'm going to see it, then everything's destructive. So community means everybody works together. So it means we have to discuss our ideas. When we have an idea about something, then we have to bring it up and come to a conclusion together. So that otherwise it doesn't work. Or my idea, my group, then you faction. Anyways.
Yeah. It's a big topic.
Even the demigods aren't able to prevent schism, so what are you going to do about that?
Yeah.
It's just dealing with it. Purana after Purana is going on.
Yeah.
Something else just came to mind. I've heard when it comes to this kind of thing, people have their, especially when the guru leaves, and then you're well-intentioned, but you think it should be done a different way, and then people will say like, oh, even in the spiritual world, there's like differences of opinion. So then they may justify it, but then it's hard to decide, is that person just on the mental platform?
Yeah.
Or is it a spiritual difference or something?
Yeah, like I said, I haven't read that volume yet, so I don't want to speak too much about it, but I think what they're saying is, Okay, Mataji, any questions? Okay.
That's also recommended in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
What?
Is different branches of the Chaitanya tree.
Jutananda. Yeah.
So then you can see by the fruit.
Yeah.
Sure, different branches, there will be schisms, but some branches will die and others will flourish. And then those who are flourishing, they are connected to Lord Chaitanya and the 6 Goswamis. That determine the phala. It will take time to say, you cannot say immediately.
Yeah.
Take time.
And it talks about...
It's like a branch that got cut off. It's not going to die right away. It takes 2 weeks to wither and fall apart. So it's like that.
Yeah, but it mentions also in the Jutananda that you have straw mixed with paddy, right? And then, this is an example, but by waving it, the straw and paddy eventually split, and you can see the real from the fake. So similarly, when the acharya leaves and there's schisms, you can see who's the real acharya by the results, as Vishnu Chaitra Prabhu was saying. That's where Prabhupada also makes that point. I remember, I don't know where, I think I read it in that passage. Yeah, how
Advaita Acharya is followed.
Right. How Prabhupada makes a point that he said, it's funny that I know we got running out of time, but he says, my god brothers went to the west, but their intentions were only to get self-aggrandizement. So even though they went there, they weren't successful. But he said, but then Prabhupada says that when I went, I only went for the pleasure of my guru and look at the success. And Prabhupada makes the point that, there's some people in the followers of Bhadisana Saraswati that they were trying to they might even follow the instructions of the guru, right? But because they have, they're self-motivated, then the results are still not going to bear. So Prabhupada, it's funny that he mentions that in that purport though, that you can weigh the real from the fake by the results. Yeah. And look at the result of Krishna life. Okay. Hare Krishna. Śrīmad Bhagavatam ki jai.